Hello everyone and welcome to what we're calling the second pilot episode of the ERL podcast. I'm just John, content manager at ERL and your host. And this week I'm joined by Sendo Fuentes and Patrick Mystiques Piakovsky. We're going to be talking about Rift Rivals, ERLs, the best champions for solo queue in top and support, amongst other things. The complete podcast will come out every Thursday at 6 p.m. BST, with cutdowns coming out Wednesday and the following Monday. I think that's all the house cleaning out of the way, so let's get on with the show. First thing that I wanted to talk about is Rift Rivals just happened this weekend. I always think like this tournament's not really for me. I've been involved in esports for a while, so I was thinking this is more for like the casual viewers. It was obviously a very messy one. The sneaky situation didn't help. The fact that G2 seemed like they could sort of troll and still win has obviously made it quite a strange tournament. But I was actually watching the last day with some friends of mine who aren't involved in esports, and one of them said, I hope this is the last one they do, which actually I was under the impression, like I said, that this was more for the casual viewers. So the first question about Rift Rivals, did you guys both, do you watch?
I watched some games, but a lot seemed pretty chill, so
Yeah.
it didn't seem like people try harding 100%, but it wasn't also like fully casual. It was like something in between. So I think it was good to watch, but not good to like analyze every move.
Do you watch it, Mystiques? Do you watch it just like for the entertainment? For obviously like you're still seeing the best teams in both regions, right?
I just watch because I watch everything what people play. Don't think it was troll, honestly. They just wanted to try out picks that they can try out somewhere else than off scrims, and like doesn't matter if they win or lose, right? So it's not like troll, it's just like experimenting if this could work or not on a stage game. That's at least my impression. I don't think it was too much troll.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good way to look at it, to be honest, because like it's still not the same as like a scrim,
champions
right?
are a bit different, but it's just they just want to test, right? It's the perfect situation to do it, in my opinion, at least.
Okay, so my suggestion, and I'd like to hear both your thoughts on this, would be to do something like, rather than just MSI, maybe MSI plus Rift Rivals combines to more like a circuit points type thing for seeding at Worlds. So MSI is obviously much more heavily weighted, but like if NA beat EU, maybe they get a slightly higher seeding at Worlds because EU had just won MSI or something like that.
For me, honestly, they should just remove the Rift Rivals tournament and just MSI and Worlds. I think for me it's like that's enough, because like it's useless a bit now.
I don't know. I think Rift Rivals doesn't really have. I don't know. I don't know what it brings to the to the competition. Or like it's just entertainment, right? But the schedules of pros are also just so filled already that it's just a waste of vacation, to say it like this, for them. Because G2, for example, I don't think they really wanted to go there.
Yeah.
So I don't think they practiced too much as well. Like they took it as a competition, but also like scrims, for example, like scrims on stage. For example, I guess I think they took it like something like this. So I think they would just prefer not to play it.
And that comes back to what Mystiques was saying in terms of like they're using it to try stuff out.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's another thing you don't really think about. I mean, we don't have to deal with this situation currently, but if you win like EU and you go to MSI and you go the whole way to MSI, you've already got not very much break, and then you're going into a situation where other teams can maybe, either just do their normal schedule for a week and not play the LCS games, LEC games, sorry, or they can even maybe take that week a little bit lighter. And so if you go into both of these things, it becomes very intense, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I mean, mostly just because the player needs some break and to not get burned out till the end of the year before Worlds, right? That is the most, I think, at least for me, important thing, to have some break, you know.
Okay, so I guess I sort of know both your answers on this, but does EU winning Rift Rivals mean anything to you? I guess actually, what would you think if NA won Rift Rivals? Maybe that's a better question.
Okay.
You don't care?
I just watch games. That's
fair enough.
Yeah, kind of. If you say it from that point of view, like, if EU wins, it's like, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
But if NA won, then I think people would just say, just Rift Rivals. People don't take it serious, I guess. So Yeah, I guess it doesn't really mean a lot, to be fair.
Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about, as we're sort of talking about NA and EU still, is the differences in the academy system in NA compared to the ERL system over here. So you guys both have experience with multiple ERL leagues, Polish, Spanish, UK, all that. So what do you think in general of the ERL system as opposed to the one league that's just like a tier 2 league? Do you think it's better? Do you think it's worse? Do you think there's some parts about it that are good, but mostly it's just different?
I think in order to get to LEC as a player, I think the American system is better and easier for the players because it's only like the only thing you need to get to is academy, right? And there's much more less players and it's easier if you are good, right? And here, if you are good, it's much harder to get into LEC because already the league is better for first, and the second thing is like it's just much harder to get into LEC. If you're in academy of some team, you're playing good in America. Like you see a lot of swaps like since beginning of this year, I think. Like I think it's just much easier. But if national league wouldn't happen like in Europe, it's like there would be also a bit more less players.
Okay.
I think like on the scene, because like national leagues like just give some people like just chances, you know, it doesn't matter if it's Spanish, UK or like Serbian league or something, right? It's just like it gives more chances to people, so at least like have some like, experience, I don't know, in that kind of way. But in America is just like one league, right? But I feel like it's just easier to get into the higher level through that system.
I think if you look at it like Patrick does, I agree. Like it's easier for an A to get there because once you get into the league under LCS, you basically already one step in.
Like
So
if you're gonna
just-
be good, you're gonna be put in some situation, right?
Exactly.
The main person who's gonna be fucking up.
Exactly. So I mean, in Europe, there's also like academy system as well, where some teams are in some academy teams and some national leagues. However, if you're a good player or you're on a dominating team, which is not an academy league, an academy team of an LEC team,
Yeah.
it's gonna be really hard for you to get a chance on LEC. So there's that. But I think as a league itself, I think it's way more entertaining to watch ERL, some ERL leagues like Polish or Spanish or even French, even German one, also UK.
Also UK, nice save.
Than watching an A.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems different. But
I guess also there's the thing of like, if you're scouting new players in Europe, you need to watch a lot of leagues.
yeah.
And if you're scouting players in NA, it's like you just watch the one league, so that makes it easier again to sort of get into the LEC.
I mean, it has to do a lot with player base, right? There's so many more players in Europe. So.
I mean, that's something actually. Can one of you guys academy teams are there like how many non-academy teams are there in the ERL?
In the ERL.
Because it's got to be much more, right?
Non-academy teams.
There's got to be like is there 8 times as many non-academy teams? It's got to be a little bit less than that, I would guess.
I mean, there's only
So there's
how many
in
teams
the
are there in
UK,
LEC? 8 or 10?
There's 10 teams, yeah.
So there's 10 academy teams, right?
Yeah, so how many ERL teams are there in total?
And there's like probably
A lot, like
A lot.
100 plus.
Yeah.
It's sort of 10 by region, 10 per region.
Ish.
Ish.
There's 9 in UK.
There's 8 in Polish, but it's like 100 probably,
Okay.
around that.
yeah. So like
So the other side of that, so we've talked about the negatives of that. Do you think that is what breeds like better competition? Is that why EU has managed to be better than NA, including the fact that a lot of the NA players are now from EU, whereas I don't know if it even has happened the other way around? Does the fact that there's a lot of players competing in lots of leagues, and as Mystique said, you can get experience even when you're not on a academy team. Do you think that actually helps competition, or have we just been quite lucky with the level of players that we've got?
It's like the character of people in Europe is just better for the game.
Okay.
I feel like that's why we are better in league, you know, like when it was all like settled up about like vision and everything, right? Like season 3, 4, maybe 5, don't remember. Korea was dominating, right? But when it's like creativity and like being more aggressive, like just our character as a region, I guess, also as like China, is just better than the others, right? So right now we are dominating because this is a kind of meta in like overall in the world, right? So I think like this league just allow you to experience a lot before you get to higher level, right? In America, it's only either solo queue, academy, or LCS, right? But here is like, for example, me, I played in 5-6 different teams until I came here, so I have much more experience. I experienced much more in like life and as a player and like in different environments. So till I get the point I'm LEC, I'm already gonna be a much better person. I mean, not always, right? But most of the time than the American person. So that's why we get more players better in Europe than America. This is it for me.
I mean, it's hard to say if it's like character, right? But there's a lot of advantages we got before that already. So for example, we just have more player base in Europe compared to NA. So that's already an advantage, more competition. So to be one of the best between a lot of player base, it's gonna be harder, and so those people are gonna be better in theory. Then there's like what Patrick said. If you really want to get into an academy team or in the LEC, you're gonna be there's more filters in Europe, to say it like this. So in NA, once you get to the academy team, you're basically in already, and that comes directly from solo queue, apparently, like I guess. So it's like one step already, and then there's just one more step, and you're already an LCS. And in Europe, you're most probably gonna be in a not so good team in the national league or in a second national league. Then you have to get into national league. No? Yeah, exactly. You have way more steps. So you get as a player, you get filtered more often. So if a new player gets into LEC or gets the chance in LEC, it's really likely he's way more complete than a player who gets his chance in LEC, to say it like this, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was the point.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I hadn't even sort of thought of it like that. The fact that in NA, other than the collegiate league, I don't know how they sort of scout people for academy other than
no
other
tournaments at all even. We also like have EU Masters or something, you know.
Yeah.
They don't have anything, just academy and playoffs, right? And winning doesn't. EU Masters winning doesn't matter that much also, but
it's showing off.
Just like you can get recognition.
Yep.
Okay, cool. We'll move on from there onto some more like in-game stuff. So I want to talk about a couple of the new champions, and then with this thing that I've mentioned to you both already. Firstly, what do we think of Kiana? I'm going to start doing this, like just players' thoughts on champions that have just come out.
I mean, in scrims, we don't see her yet, because she's just not up. Her? No, I didn't. Like, I played against her 2 times in solo queue, and I watched some streamers play it. She seems interesting.
Like for me, she kind of seems busted a bit.
Yeah, she's broken in river or something.
Like I don't know. Like some moments I saw, it's like she's like, I'm like, what is this so OP? Like if people gonna know how to play this champion, it might be really OP, you know, like every new champion in the game.
Yeah.
She's like different. She's like different power levels depending on where she is, right? And people said in river that's where she's most.
You can basically grab in any lane. You can basically in practice grab any element. So you can pick to have river even if you're in mid lane, just by the little. It's got quite a big range, and just by the little parts of the river that go into the mid lane, like just the other side of the bush. So in practice, you can actually just sort of pick whatever you want. But as Patrick said, like there's like if you pick the brush, you basically got an Akali Shroud, and then you can also have a snare, and then you can also have like a bonus damage execute and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I saw her as a jungler, and she went really insane in the game against us. So. The thing is, I don't know what to expect from her, right?
Yeah.
She was just one-shotting people, but I don't really know her kit. I saw it, the explanation, right?
Yeah.
But once you have it like automated, it's really hard. Like you don't know what she's gonna do next.
Okay, maybe it's easier to talk about if we go one more back then. If we talk about Mordekaiser instead, is that something that you guys I should have probably checked up on the rules of like when it comes into competitive, but is that something that you guys have been seeing more and a bit more experience with?
Scrims versus.
Yeah, same.
What do you think about Mordekaiser then?
It has really bad lane if it's on top, right? It's like it has a lot of bad matchups early game, but mid game, late game it's really strong, especially late game. I guess champions like split pushers, Fiora and stuff like this win very hard versus it, but overall pretty OP champ. You can just take away someone who's fed, right? Or like just gonna. I mean, it has a really like broken. This one broken spell like can change the whole team fight or like the game, right?
Yeah.
So it's quite good, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we had it in scrims as well, but in competitive, it's not allowed yet, as far as I know. It just seems very easy to play and efficient, but I don't think it's that broken, to say it like this. The thing is that it's his ultimate, right? In top it has a lot of counters.
Yeah.
So you can beat it 1v1. Even if you ult you, like, he's gonna be stuck with you instead of you being stuck with him. So he's easier to beat 1v1 than most people said before. But it seems so easy. Like once he gets his first part of the items and his boots, he starts wave clearing. It moves pretty fast around the map. Kind of hard to dive as well. Later on, even if you're behind, you can ult the most fed member, and that member is gonna be. I mean, he's not stuck with you, right? So he's probably gonna beat you up, but he's not exactly. So like your team is doing the work. Once you come out, the fat member is like, wait, what the fuck? Where's my team, right? And then he's like in 5 people. So there's always that. And I mean, people are playing him AP, but in theory you could just play him full tank or something if you're behind, and gargoyles and just stop watch while you're in the ult with the most fat member, right? You just have to zone him out.
I mean, it's gonna be played the champ for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. Just to save, and it's flexible as well in jungle and mid. I don't know how good it is jungle.
I only saw it top.
Huh?
I only saw it top.
I saw it in mid lane. Caps was playing it a lot. And in jungle I saw some, but it didn't seem too great. But it seems playable as well.
Okay, so the reason I wanted to talk about both those champions, and you both mentioned it at different points for both those champions, is I want to talk about a thing called power creep, which I mentioned to you, but I'll just explain it for you and anyone else. Basically, the idea with power creep is in a game that's being constantly updated, and I'm definitely going to get this explanation not entirely right, but I'll do my best. The way that the new stuff basically tends to be better than the old stuff, so that you play it. So in a game like World of Warcraft, it's the most obvious when they release a new set of raids or a new set of dungeons, the items that drop, the numbers are just higher, so that you play the new stuff. But the way it happens in League, because although they do sometimes have the numbers too high on new champions, they want you to play the new champs, the idea, or even they want their new champs to be different, and now they're experimenting with different extra mechanics, is they add in these mechanics that other champions don't have. And then you're in a situation where the other champions can basically just get pushed out of the game. I'm just going to pretend that didn't happen. Basically gets pushed out of the game by the fact that they don't have the mechanics. So like all the new champions have loads of mobility, so people without mobility are really struggling at the moment because of the way the game is played. But it's stuff like Kiana's got loads of stuff in her kit, or Mordekaiser just with his ult has a single mechanic that's a new mechanic, but it might just be like make loads of other stuff not viable. So the first part is, do you think that is actually happening in League, power creep, that is a problem? Do you think that do you think it's fine to just see new champions because the old champions, or more new champions than old champions because the old champions have got more sort of standard kits?
I feel like in the past when the new champions were like released, they were never OP, no? Like
I think there were more.
There was a while, if I remember, where like like Yorick, for example, was a perfect example of why you would use power creep, because Yorick came out and wasn't great, and didn't have any particularly new mechanics, and also didn't have like 2i numbers or anything, so no one played him. And
what I mean is like in the past the champions which were new, like I remember like Jhin, Kalista, like some other champions, like they just needed so many buffs until they were played, But right now when the champions come, they are either instantly really OP kit, more fun to play, I guess, I don't know. It's like fun for also competitive, I guess, the kit. But if it's like bad, they will just nerf it a bit and randomly the champion is like imba, right? It's like just really OP.
Riot changes the approach every now and then, I feel like, because in the past there were champs that were like just overloaded in kit and numbers were really high and like people would just pick up the champ and start stomping and ranked with it. Then there's been a series of champs where they release the champion with okay numbers and people still don't know how to play the champ, so the winner is not going to be that high. Then they just leave it there and then start buffing numbers if the statistics don't go with the champion release. So it really depends of how they feel like it.
Yeah.
But for example with Yumi, they also did something like this. Like they released her and the winner was really low because people didn't know how to play her as well, and they just started buffing her. Then people knew how to play her. Then they started nerfing her. So it's like, I mean.
But just the new champions kit of the champions.
Yeah.
Are usually the
I mean,
broken stuff like.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's really new to the game and everything.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. Just add some context. I think, and I'm not sure, and I can't remember if these statistics are like platinum and above or diamond and above or something. But Mordekaiser, for example, is one of the highest win rate champs in the game, something like 53% in top lane. But Kiana is actually one of the lowest. But so the numbers maybe aren't correct on either of them. Maybe
I think
Mordekaiser.
Kiana is just more hard champion.
Yeah, I think.
But so what I'm sort of talking about is the kit, right? So Yumi's maybe a good example. Is it possible now that there is a meta where like Soraka and Yumi are both viable? Because doesn't Yumi just do what Soraka does, but also has this new fun mechanic where you can...
No, because she cannot die, she can die.
So that's what I mean by
That's
power
it.
creep. So it's like, so in that context, Soraka has sort of been power creeped out, unless like they make Soraka's numbers insane and Yumi's numbers terrible.
No, like even Soraka numbers are really good right now, but it's just, she can't fit in the meta. That's it. Yumi is a champion which is the best e-girl champ, right? And it just cannot die, right? So what, like it's too OP.
Yeah, for example, with Mordekaiser and Kiana, the example you gave, Mordekaiser is just very simple kit, but with really high numbers. Like the ult, it's a bit different. It's like a Camille ult that puts you in another map, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the kit is kind of nothing really weird from other champs, but it's just the numbers are really high. It's just a really buffed version of a bruiser. Like imagine you have Darius on top, but as AP, and just more safe and more wave clear. I guess. I mean, I guess like Darius is like been power creeped out. That's how you want to call it.
Yeah.
It can be compared a bit.
So the follow up then to that is, do you think it's a problem that this happens in League? Or
Not really.
Not really?
I mean,
because the new champs are fun.
yeah, they're fun, and I mean, I don't know. I like this that the champion which are like really strong, right? But if someone is playing them like really good, they seem like really unbalanced, right? But it's because they're so good on it, right?
Yeah.
I like to, because I think it's like rewarding for being a good player. There's a lot of like champions like this, right? Of course, it's still strong even though if the player is worse, right? But if the player is really good, it's just like, I find it rewarding, right? For us as players that feel good, you're just gonna be like insanely broken, right, on this champion.
The thing on new champs as well is, I mean, I like it if they bring new stuff, like a new kit, for example. I don't like it if they are really broken on release, because then you're like forced to learn the champ and I would like know how to play it perfectly. Else you're just gonna get overrun. And like in the end for pro players, it's like more work, like a homework always all the time. So, and I like new champs, but the frequency shouldn't be too high, and like I don't know, like. But new champs is good. Like that's what keeps the game interesting, especially if you have new kits. Like, yeah. The only bad thing is, for example, with the dashes, right? There's like more and more champs with dashes, so they have to update the old champions so that they just don't seem out of meta because like, yeah, all the new champs have dashes, and the old ones just seem power creeped out. I call it.
I do think as well, from like a fan's perspective, it's so good to watch champions with like really strong kits. And it doesn't have to be the new ones, like Thresh, for example. Like watching people who are good at Thresh and can get the most out of that kit. It's like watching a simple champion. Sometimes I'm watching and I'm thinking like, I can sort of do that. Like when I play, it looks similar to that. But when it's like a really like something like Thresh, it looks like completely different. So it's like so good for the viewers and stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, keeps the game interesting. I mean, I don't mind, honestly. Like, the thing is, I'm never gonna spend time to learn them or like get to know their kit. I always just learn on. I face it, and after 2-3 weeks, I already know what champion does, right? Correctly, because I don't play that champion. I mean, I just support players. So.
Okay. Right, so next thing that we want to do that I mentioned is we want to talk about 5 champions in your position that are good for climbing in ranked. And when we go through, we're going to I'm going to ask you like a little bit, not a guide, but just like what runes you take on them and how do you climb on that champion, whether like, oh, you play this champion, you have to roam all the time, or you play this champion, you have to split push all the time. And the other person, obviously, feel free to just jump in whenever you want. Like I said, it's very relaxed. Right, so we'll start with Sendo. So 5 champions for climbing in top lane.
I mean, the first thing I say when people ask me how to climb in solo queue is I tell them to be OTP at one champ, like main one champ. So the champ doesn't really matter that much unless you're really high elo already. Yeah, that first of all. But then if I had to recommend 5 champs where you can literally 1v9 as a top laner, it's like Jax, Aurelia, Camille, like another 2. And those are pretty mechanically intensive champions, right? So you have to be really good at them to really 1v9. So if you're someone who's not that great at the game, not so talented, it's not good to play those champs. But I'm just saying the champs you can carry with the most, right? So yeah, I mean those are like my top 3 for sure.
And is that split pushing on them a lot, mostly, or?
In solo you can't really split push,
right.
But you can get good advantages, 1v1 already, and then later on in skirmishes they're really good. And solo queue, most of the times people will be split up, and even if they're really grouped all the time, you can then split push, right? But if they're not really grouped, then you can always find someone split off, and with Jax or Camille, you can assassinate them really fast. And I really can just 1v9 team fights. So yeah, I mean, those have really great lanes, which transition really well into late game and skirmishes.
And is that Conqueror on all 3, or I guess you have a lot of variety on Camille, right?
Yeah, on Camille you have the most variety. Aurelia has mostly Conqueror. Jax is Conqueror or Grasp. Grasp against really hard matchups because Jax is really strong lane in decent matchups for him. But if he's in a bad matchup, he's a really easy to punish champ, right? So you have to go Grasp or something like, I don't know, lanes like Cannon, for example, or just range champs in general. It's pretty hard, so you can just take Grasp and survive in lane with it. And since you scale so well, and you get your Spear of Shojin, then you can just go Grasp and sacrifice a bit of your late game with Conqueror and just...
Renekton should be good, no?
Renekton is fine as well.
It's easy champ.
Snowball's really hard. Spear of Shojin is really strong as well on him. Like Spear of Shojin, if you get a bit ahead and you have Spear of Shojin in your champ, like if it's a champ who works well with Spear of Shojin, then you can just carry games alone as well, like Renekton and Riven, right? But yeah.
Renekton is just probably the easiest champ.
The thing about Renekton is you have to do well on lane, and if you don't do well on lane, then you kind of lost the game already. So you're putting everything on the lane thing. Right?
So in this meta, and it might just be is there like a brain dead is maybe a bit extreme, but like an easy, because all those champions either like scale or it's something like Renekton where you have to win lane. Is there something that you can have the most like impact on in top? It always used to be that you could just play tanks, but now you can't really.
Yeah, I mean,
is there still like an easy?
There's still easy champs. Like I mean, I don't think Rumble is too hard. it automatically wins lane, and it never gets bad. It's really strong in team fights after 6. You can win a lane against literally every champ, and there's harder matchups, right? But you can win lane always because it's so safe on lane. Even if you're behind, your ult does a lot. So I think Rumble is like one of the champs which are not too hard and always good. Karma, for example, which is now a meta pick, right? She's pretty easy to play, I think. Like she's not that. I mean, if you're really good with her, you can get a lot of advantages other people wouldn't get. But if you're bad at her, you can always be really useful. So and she has a really safe lane. Even if you're behind, you're gonna be a second support for your team. And if your team is doing well, you're gonna maximize the chances really well with Karma.
And so Rumble, you build pen items and stuff,
Yes.
and you take Comet
Yeah.
every time.
Most of the times, yeah. Like Comet 99% of the times. There's like niche situations where you can go Conqueror against tanks, or like really hard melee matchups where you're gonna trade a lot and they're gonna stack a Mar. But 99% of the times you just take Comet, go pen items, magic pen boots, and also 80% of your games get the magic pen from Morello, but don't finish the item, go Leandris. Then you find your way with like Zonia's AP of tank items. If you're really fat, you can go Rabadons even, and that just burn the whole enemy team. But yeah, that's like the most meta
And then
way to go.
Karma, do you take Klepto or do you take Comet again? Or
Also, like most of the times I Klepto, unless it's like really ranged matchup where you cannot trade at all, almost like Cassio. Even against Cannon, you're gonna trade auto attacks, right? But against there's really niche matchups where you can go Comet instead. But really, like 90% of the times, I would just go Klepto, and it really depends how you want to play her. Like AP or off tank support is both viable. You can go AP full AP going Ludens into full AP like Rabadons or Magic Pen items, or you can go off tank where you can get a Gauntlet into Spirit Visage and then support items. Both are really viable and really good right now.
Cool. All right. So support then. Same question. Best champions for climbing.
The champions that can build Redemption, Ardent, or Athens. So Soraka, Lux, Nami, Karma, Yumi. I think these champions are probably the best to climb because in solo you just want to fight probably most of the time. So you want to build a team, and like these items are just too strong for them, kinda. And besides that, maybe like someone doesn't like range Nautilus, just roam, good kit to roam and catch people is like on lower division. A lot of people, you can just probably buy mobbies and just run and gank cover lanes and nobody respects it, right?
What about Fesh?
Bad champion this month.
Holy shit.
It's just useless.
Patrick saying Fesh.
And it's hard champion, so
Yeah.
if it's useless and it's hard, it's like useless.
So the idea is that you basically take someone to protect the AD carry. Do you then just
No, not protect AD carry, but
Okay.
like this Athens is just so OP item because
Okay.
you're healing, right? With your you're healing or like shielding already, but at the same time you're even healing. You know what I mean? It's like more bigger, and like usually like after 20 minutes, 15, like it's just basically 5 people trying to fight 24/7, right? So this kind of champion do a lot in those kind of stuff. So that's what I would suggest. And of course they are easier to play than the more tanky supports. Except like Soraka, because you have to be smart on Soraka and be kind of one trick. That's
So you take, is it I guess Aerie on most of them, but Lux is still has to be aftershock, right?
Yeah, Lux always aftershock. Yeah, on the rest it's Aerie or Comet.
Okay. Cool. So last thing that I want to talk about then, and this is something that I have actually talked to you both about for a different video, which might come out or might not. Still not sure. But so Sendo, you already mentioned one being an OTP, being a one-trick pony. What are some? Firstly, is there such thing other than stuff like that as like these are blanket ways that you can climb elo, or is it much more complicated than that? Are there simple tips?
Well, what I do since I started playing League, I play 2 roles. I have my one main, right? I'm playing support, but I always try to find sometimes I play top. Like I have basically for every role in the game one champion I'm capable of playing and not ever inting most of the time. Just going equal, but at the same time they provide a lot to the team, right? And I will never int on them, right? It's like for top lane I have Poppy, for jungle I have Jarvan, for mid I have Zilean, for the carry right now I play Sivir or Azure, right? But it's like finding, because usually let's take it like you're AD, you're gold player, and you get filled to mid lane, and you just pick a champion that you probably never play, and you're just gonna lose, or int and make it harder for your team to win. So what I always say, it's like just find 2 or 3 champions for other role, be good on them, and like just be always winning or like just solid for the team, because then it's much more easier to win, right? Instead of you going on our lane and just performing bad and maybe solo losing the game.
I would agree with Patrick if it was like it used to be in solo queue. You would get, like, I remember back then you would just get in a team with 5 players, and then you would get the role depending of your pick order, right? But nowadays you mostly play your role, sometimes get filled, but you can just afford to dodge every off-roll game you get, so it's not.
That's true, yeah. But I don't think lower division people dodge that often.
Should they?
They should then.
Do you think?
I mean, if they really want to climb, and they should just always look OPG for first.
Yeah.
And just check someone 10 games in a row lost, or his one-trick pony is just banned, and like if your one-trick pony is banned in your team, just dodge, guys. Like you can't win. It's like he's -1 KLP lower with that other champion, so it's quite hard to win.
That's true. But what I would say is just main 1 champ or like 2 champs, and that's it. Especially if you're new, like if you just want to get elo, if you just want to climb solo queue, you don't have to be a great player. Like you don't have to know everything. You just have to know your limits on your 1 champ.
Yeah, and play easy champ. That's for first also. Like.
Yeah. I mean that's personal preference, I guess. But yeah, just main 1 champs. Know the limits of the champ perfectly. Even if you get filled like to top or to mid, you can put. Imagine if it's a mid lane champ you're playing, you put mid top. Usually you can just play your mid lane champ in top lane as well, especially in lower elos. People just make mistakes. Even if you're in a bad matchup, doesn't matter. Like if you know the limits on your champ, those lower tier people will always make mistakes until you get. I guess in this season it would start at master or something, a grandmaster. Until you get that division, you can always outperform your rival really hard on your main champion, and even in bad matchups, you're just gonna do better. And other than that, just focus on yourself, because
and don't use shot.
Yeah,
like it's useless.
I guess
getting into the argument is just useless.
I guess. I mean, unless you're really mentally strong, don't use chat. If you're mentally strong,
just keep it as a blanket rule. I think is better because everyone will be like, "Oh, I'm mentally
just
strong."
Don't just chat. Don't just chat.
When they're on a 5-game lose streak or whatever.
I mean, for me, it's like you're lower division, right? Why bother talking with these people if you're not gonna meet him for the next 50, 100 or never, right?
Yeah, that's true.
It's not worth. So it's like just play. Much easier to win not typing with him than typing.
Just focus on yourself, because in lower divisions, especially, people make so many mistakes. It's crazy. You can just 1v9 games. It doesn't matter what your team does, as long as you have 2 people in your team with a brain, you're gonna be able to 1v9 almost every single game, if you're good enough, of course. But that means you can just focus on yourself, Like once you get grandmaster or something, or like master, all right, you can start complaining, because not every game is winnable, and people actually know how to play the game. So if your team ends, you sometimes won't have a chance to 1v9. But yeah, no, in lower divisions, you should only focus on yourself, really. You shouldn't really care what your team does normally. Because you can always get advantages yourself.
Okay, that's some pretty good blanket rules, I think. If people follow those, let us know in the comments how they affect your elo, if at all. Unfortunately, I think that's all we have time for. That was the first episode of the XL podcast, and we're going to be doing one of these every week. And full episodes will come out Thursday, 6 p.m. BST, with smaller cut down videos coming out Wednesday and Monday. Let us know if you have any feedback down in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching.